with some breaking news. We have just received word that Maryland has just approved the Articles of Confederation. Now we're heading to our on-the-ground correspondent, Kai, with some more information on this.
Thank you, Mike. I'm down here in Maryland, where news of the ratification has started to spread throughout the state.
As I'm sure many folks are probably aware of the impact that this will have on the structure of our government, what types of reactions are you seeing down there in Maryland from the people, Kai?
Yeah, Mike, the reception is pretty muted. As you know, the government's been using the Articles of Confederation as their basis for the framework of the government for a while now.
Knowing this, I'm sure the people at home are probably wondering, what exactly does this change for our nation?
Well, Mike, it doesn't mean a whole lot. Apart from defining the states being in a perpetual union, it shouldn't change too many things.
Knowing this, I'm sure the question that we're all wondering is, how does this impact the influence that the states have on these important decisions that Congress would previously make in the past?
Well, Mike, for that question, I think somebody who's better to speak on that is our expert on government, Mr. Pork. We're going to go to him now.
Thank you, Guy. The fact of the matter is this results in a rather weak central government, at least relative to the state's powers. This central government, or federal government, lacks the ability to force the states to give taxation, lacks the ability to force the states to levy an army, and even lacks the ability to force its members to be in attendance at its meetings. This results in a rather weak union of states that are in perpetual union, as the articles define, and a rather weak federal government that lacks the ability to do many of the things that most federal governments of the other countries in the world can do. This results in the majority of the power in this country being vested in the states' governments and the individual local governments instead of in the federal government, the overarching federal government. And I'm going to go back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Pork. I'm sure many people are still wondering, though, what exactly does this mean? And how is it going to change the lives of our people and our nation?
Thank you, Mike. The daily lives of the people of this country really should not be affected very much. As I stated before, the majority of the power is still vested in the local and state governments that have been controlling this country for a while now. And even in the federal government, such as the Continental Congress, they've already been using the Articles as a sort of template for the government for a while now. So hopefully this ratification of Maryland won't change too much and we can continue living the peaceful lives we have now with the power vested in the states.
Thank you, Mr. Pork. But how will this affect our foreign policy with other nations?
Thank you, Mike. Well, the fact of the matter is we're looking at a rather weak federal government without the ability to levy war, which gives it very little buying power with other strong governments throughout the world. And even with the little power that it has, the government lacks the ability to force the representatives to be in attendance, which means getting a quorum can be very difficult. And we have already seen how this has affected the Treaty of Paris, for example, which has been languishing in the Continental Congress for many days now, I think even weeks now, because there's no quorum to make the vote. We can continue to expect this with more and more treaties that the federal government attempts to sign. And even another example with the Treaty of Paris, it's supposed to have the British troops leave their forts, but we lack the ability to enforce this because of our weak military. So this puts us in a weak diplomatic position, which I think will come to affect the country as a whole. Also, with the states having the ability to make treaties in between each other, it can hamper the perpetual union that we are supposed to be a part of.
Another thing that the government will lack is the ability to taxation, or at least the ability to enforce taxation. This is an ability that the states themselves are granted. Now, with the large debts that we know the states and the federal government itself, the Continental Congress as it's known at this moment, has incurred during the Revolutionary War, the federal government lacking the ability to tax will be an interesting piece of political maneuvering that will need to be done, because the states must willingly send the taxes to the government, and we will have to see how these debts will be paid off. And as well, for the states, they have their own debts to worry about. We'll have to see how they pay their own debts. And really, this is going to also, tying it back to foreign policy, because of the large debts, it means we're going to be borrowing money from other countries, perchance, and this is going to increase our dependence on other countries. So that could be a major sticking point in this future republic.
And with that, you can expect some further insight in the near future. But for now, this has been Colonial News, the #1 trusted news source in the colonies. Thank you for watching.